Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Autonomy.com podcast, where we explore the captivating world of visual novels, romance, and immersive storytelling. I'm SweetPixel.
And I'm Morrig. Today we're thrilled to introduce Keyframes, a heartfelt visual novel about love, friendship, and self-discovery during one of the most formative times in your life, college.
And joining us today are the brilliant minds behind Keyframes, Marina and Floss, and an honorable mention is Lily. Unfortunately, they won't be able to join us today. Thank you so much for being here. Could you start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Marina. I kind of have my hands all over the project, but the primary jobs that I have is being project lead and director. So I would be directing the team towards the vision we have for the game and oversee the general production of the project. I'm also programming a lot, specifically in scripting and implementing the various assets we have for the game.
And I am Floss. I am primarily the editor for Keyframes, which means I am checking grammar and formatting, as well as story consistency throughout all of our scripts and other written materials. So I work a lot with any writers and Marina and our narrative lead, Lily, to maintain a solid narrative as we're developing the game. And speaking of Lily, they are our narrative lead, and that means they handle all the planning and the outlining for our story and the scripts. From that planning stage, when we go into scripting, it's usually much more of a combined effort, but that's just pretty true of how we do things in general.
Keyframes takes place during some of the most formative years of a person's life, with many relationships, ups and downs. As a former college student myself, I really vibe with that period in particular. So for listeners who might not know, could you give us a summary of what Keyframes is about?
Yeah. Keyframes is an Amare visual novel, which means it focuses not only on romantic relationships, but also on platonic ones. It does start when you're in your second year of college, finishing up the end of your spring semester. And at that point, you already have two friends, Deja and Cameron. And around that point, you meet three more who are also the love interests, and their names are Percy, Jamie, and Elio. And then from there, you finish out the semester by spending time with everyone. And the choices you're making throughout that remaining time impact your character as well as the relationships you're starting to build with all the other characters. And again, it's not just in the romantic sense. Keyframes is very much a slow burn with a lot of focus on, I'd say, the friendships that you're making and keeping and possibly breaking while figuring out all the rest of the college stuff, because it is very much a college life game, for sure.
I really enjoyed the friendship dynamic between me as the player, Deja, and Cam. They feel like real people and very down to earth and fun to be around. And I absolutely loved the way Cam's car was decorated with the froggies everywhere. So whoever thought of that, thank you. I love that. I wish my car to look like this now. Also, something that I noticed while playing is the personality quiz in the beginning. Then I noticed the stat based decisions and the quick time events, and they were very fun to play. I was sweating a bit at one point because I love getting everything perfect, and I tried my best at the volleyball game because I love volleyball. So, of course, I had to do perfectly, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, we've heard it's always I had to force myself to lose the game because my default state was I'm winning this game.
Yeah, honestly, same. Okay, well, I'm glad there's other people like me in that case. Well, in this regard, could you talk to us a bit about these features in particular, and how they shape the gameplay?
Yeah, of course. So, for a story about growth and discovery, we really wanted players to have the chance to experience their own changes alongside the cast. Like, it's not just our characters growing during this formative time of their year. And so we just wanted to show players how impactful their choices can be over time. The quiz and the stat decisions specifically let us do that. So by knowing how a player is likely to act with the personality quiz in the beginning, we could then track how much they've changed from their initial personality with the stat-based choices. And in turn, we use that knowledge to kind of inform the cast around them and even the situation, how they would react if anything were to go down. The QuickTime events, however, is more so for like the immersion. I love visual novels, but I don't particularly like how certain choices are usually just given to you. I like the fact that the game just adapts to what you do. So QuickTime events were made for that kind of immersion and just to give you a look at like how some things might turn out based on things that you kind of are just put into, a bit like real life. And that's honestly something that we try to emulate in Keyframes a lot.
Yeah, it toss you into to feel like you're in the actual situation. You have to react like the characters have to react.
I think I understand it better now, because when you explained it to me, I had this in the back of my head, but I just wasn't sure what was the difference. I was like, this feels a bit more like I am taking the lead in the story, and I didn't even realize it's because of these particular things. Actually, now that you mention it,
that's good. I'm glad that it was translated, even if indirectly.
there was one thing that I couldn't quite understand. I think I tried reading it twice, but I still didn't understand it. So the game mentioned that once I do the quiz and I get my personality, let's say I got winter, it mentioned that even though I got winter, some of the interactions are going to be based off of my personality, but some of the other things that happen in the game are going to be still based on my decisions. Would that mean that if I don't pick a winter decision, if I pick a fall decision, the game is going to continue with my fall decision?
It's a lot of like dynamic building to it. When you say like winter decision, fall decision, that's actually something pertaining to our stats. Each of the seasons have a core stat that they're like more highly attributed to. So like winter specifically is in touch with composure, fall with compassion. not gonna try to get too much into it because there's a lot of schematics that I don't want to bore you guys with. But in general, what we try to do in Keyframes is that the more choices you take that lead you to a specific personality, the more the cast will clock you with it, and the more we'll kind of adapt to showing that this is not how your character is going to act. So it's not necessarily that winters will start to act more like falls or summers or springs, but that they'll just be more charming with their words. Because the way that winters work is that they don't really have a lot of charm. They're just straight up blunt. I don't know if you noticed that in your playthrough, but they don't. Yeah,
no, I did not know.
they don't beat around the bush. They say straight up, and they also don't react as much. But if you start making more charming choices, confident choices, or compassionate choices, that will start to reflect on your behavior, because we wanted to give you, the player, a chance to see just how much you've changed without directly being like, oh, you suddenly switched from like a super outgoing person because you chose all these things. No, it's more like a subtle change. So winter might joke around a lot more, or they might smile with the corner of their lip. Just like those small changes to show that you are going through 2 years of your life here and you are growing as a person.
I understand. Okay, thanks. I was really curious because I don't know why I didn't understand that. But thank you for explaining it to me. So, what did you say? Winter was what exactly?
The more stoic one.
It is true. It's interesting because sometimes I feel like, without realizing that I'm lying on these tests, and then I'm never sure if I made it correctly or not. So I was curious what winter is, because I am expressive, but I am really shy. So I will sometimes get up in my head and go quiet, simply because I'm worried to say what I think. But then if it really matters, I am going to be very straightforward when it matters.
Yeah,
Curious.
I don't want to psychoanalyze because this is just a personality quiz. But you do seem kind of like a winter. Winters in our game are defined to be people who kind of hold a lot of their feelings and thoughts inside. Not necessarily like they don't have these thoughts or emotions, but rather they're comfortable with just keeping it to themselves for now unless prompted. So hopefully that gives you
I'm learning things about myself here, which is nice. Thank you.
It also makes perfect sense because in real life, people have a personality, and even though behaviorally and things change about them, they're still them at the end of the day.
Exactly, yeah.
And speaking about people, I was curious about the potential love interest that you meet during the game. Percy, Elio, Jamie, what makes them unique and what can players expect when building relationships with them?
Let's see. Well, we can start with, some basic facts. So, Percy Tosaki is also a second-year student. He's a biology major, minoring in math, and kind of at a glance, he's got a bit of like that punkish energy, and he seems to have a lot of audacity. But he's kind of our resident like contradiction in the cast because he gives off this very flirty and forward first impression. But once you get to know him, you get a quieter sense of his personality and how he behaves around his friends. So, depending on how your protagonist responds to like his joking attitude, he can either mesh really well with your own sense of humor, or he could even kind of consider you a bit of a buzzkill. He's easygoing, he likes to go with the flow, and if you're the kind of person who doesn't like going with the flow, then he could come to have a bit of a problem with that. Of course, we're just in spring right now, so everything's kind of still blanketed in first impressions. But yeah, that's Percy. And then we have Elio Kealoha. He is an astrophysics major, also a second year. Kind of our brains and brawn put together, like that rare combo. He's definitely the most extroverted of the bunch, and really determined to enjoy life to the fullest. But he's a really big sweetheart. He's super considerate of everyone around him. If you vibe with him right away, he can be part of like a great physical comedy duo with your character, or he can tone it down as much as he can while still trying to make sure that you feel really included. I'd say he would really hate it if he realized that anyone was feeling left out. And then last but not least, we have Jamie Porter. No one knows what his major is. He has a reputation for being the campus boyfriend, which we've had some questions about what that means before. And it just basically means that he's who a lot of people are kind of looking to with starry eyes, like, oh, I wish, that kind of feeling. He's an international transfer student, and he's generally very polite and distanced, which is feeding into this thing where a lot of students are fixating on like just his good looks and how nice his manners are, and this impression that everyone's building about him makes him really cautious of actually getting to know new people. So when it comes to your player character, depending on how you treat his boundaries, he can either continue to ice you out and hold you at a distance, or he can maybe begin to thaw and consider you part of the friend circle, at which point you might discover he's actually, how would you say, a little mischievous. Yeah, those three are their own little friend group and roommates as well, so they kind of come as their own friend circle that crashes into your friend circle at the start of spring.
I would be torn between Jamie and Elio because I really like how sweet Jamie is, and that's why I got so upset when those volunteers came in the kitchen. I mean, read the room. Oh, it felt like forever by the time I could have gotten them out of the room. They were so annoying. They were just sitting there. Oh, what about this cupcake? Oh, what about...
I got
get out.
frustrated with that on a personal basis because I've been in these kinds of situations.
Yeah, I'm not like Jamie, if I have to be honest.
Thank you.
You remind me of him in some way. But when you mentioned that depending on how you interact with Percy, he will be either um, comfortable joking around with you, or more, he's gonna see me as a buzzkill. I think I know how he's going to see me now that you mentioned this, because I've been cutting him off since I wasn't sure what type of person he is. I didn't get to talk much to him in the beginning because I told him that I'm too busy and I can't deal with him right now. If I picked something else, was I going to have a longer interaction in the beginning?
Yes. Yeah. So it
Ah.
sounds like you actually had the shortest route out of there, which playing off of Winter's starting personality type kind of does make sense, because you could see a Winter being the most likely to be like, cool, I've got somewhere to be, you know?
I was wondering. I was like, did I fuck something up? Why did it ended so quickly? Maybe I shouldn't have told him to fuck off. I felt a bit bad after
Maybe.
that.
Well, no, that's the
I
thing.
felt a bit bad.
Like Percy would joke around, but only if you let him. Otherwise, he'll respect your boundaries.
Honestly, as I mentioned before, the other favorite characters are Deja and Cam. It's I am desperately looking for that kind of friendship, because I feel like they get to hang out more since they're together in college. And with my friends right now, everyone has their own job and they're kind of pretty busy right now. But when you're in college and you get to spend more time together, it just reminds me of how fun it was. And Rena. I shouldn't forget Rena. I was going to say that she looks like the sweetest little cupcake ever. I love her clothes. I love her style. I love the fact that every character has their own style. It just, the clothes, the hair, just everything, the way they're accessorized. That left a great impression on me, because I could feel the personality shining through the way they looked. And it's just such a mix of personalities in the story. Can you share with me what inspired these characters and how they contribute to the player's journey?
I mean, you talked about your college friends. I have to talk about my college friends. They're literally the best inspiration. They've given me a lot of support when I was at my worst, and they made a lot of memories of me, made me feel like I was at my best. So I kind of like, as you said, like I kind of wish everyone could also have that in their life. So I naturally wanted the player to have something like that in the game. People who could, in their own way, provide the player with this perspective that allows them to grow and learn, or remind them of what was important if the player had forgotten. There's like so much we've planned to change and happen over the course of the 2 in-game years, so I feel like having people who the player can count on to keep them grounded is just as important as the ones who would eventually like change them for the good or the bad.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I'm glad you liked their designs though. They were super fun to play around
they're
with.
so nice.
It's
so
it's
nice.
always so stunning seeing like design sketches and outfits come together. I remember when we were kind of finalizing those designs for spring, and it was an exciting time for sure.
Okay, so Keyframes is just getting started with plans for multiple seasons, and the demo is focusing on the spring semester, while the Kickstarter aims to fund the summer one. What's next for Keyframes, and what's in store for the future?
So as far as summer goes, the summer installment is going to be about this sense that everyone's got their own things going on while school's off, and at that point in the game, it's really up to you which moments you want to be involved in as time is passing. We do have 2 main events lined up that'll gather everyone in one spot, but outside of that, what you're getting from summer will really depend on who you're spending your time with, just because everyone's much more spread out. And the first spring only takes about 2 weeks in game, right? But summer is a whole summer, so it's going to be a great time to get around and learn more about the people that you've met in spring, as well as kind of a time for your protagonist to actually further develop their dynamics with the characters that they're spending time with. That's kind of the approach in summer.
As for what's in store for the future, we're going to be leaning a lot into that growth and discovery. So you're going to be learning a lot and you're going to be deciding a lot. Floss said, summer is just going to be a time for you to learn enough about someone to set the foundations of a firmer friendship or romance. But beyond that are the regrets that keep our cast awake at night, the kind of fears that hold them back, or some facts that they refuse to acknowledge. It might get a little bit messy, but growing up was never supposed to be easy anyway. So whenever we get to that part of production later on in the seasons, I'd say players would have to get ready for a lot of things to change. Like, we've always stressed that your choices have mattered, but they're going to have a significant impact at that point, the kind that would kind of make or break our characters even.
I really love that the seasons kind of correspond to change, shall I say? And
Yeah.
all of them are their own adventure for the characters, basically. Part of growing up, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, we try to, when planning for all of them and like planning the kind of arcs that we want each character to have, like all 6 of them, and even more, because there's some additional characters that we want to talk about in the universe, but we try to give them like a lot of common personal struggles. So things that you would typically find yourself in at college, like how your career is going to shape up, or like what your future is going to look like, how you find yourself fitting in with groups of friends, how do you personally see yourself. We just want to make sure that like we're conveying real struggles that any young adult might find in college, and hopefully players can see it, relate to it, and feel as if they've have like something like personal that makes them feel seen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely is that period of time where you're most concerned with your future, because it's the years where you are shaping your future, basically.
Yeah, and it's weird, right? But it's kind of one of the most central things about your college experience is you are so focused on your college years, but at the same time, that time is passing. So this passage of time that is eventually going to define portions of your life beyond it, I think is a pretty common feeling that kind of creeps up on you as you really get into it. I know for sure when I started college, I was not thinking about, 4 years down the line, what will my academic decisions, my social decisions, anything there, what will that mean for me? Right.
Yeah.
And then, you get to the end of it and it's like, wow, okay. That meant something.
Yeah, definitely.
It goes by pretty quickly, and by the time you figure it out, it's like, okay, well, that just happened.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. And
literally.
then, your friend group, however it changed during college, it changes through and it changes after, right? I think one of the questions we've gotten every so often is, wait a minute, but Cam and Jamie are a year above you, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? And it's like, well, time passes. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We all have our own lives, and
Yeah.
whether or not they're going to be in it, I mean, it's up to you.
Before we wrap up, we always love to ask, is there any exclusive behind the scenes details or fun facts that you'd like to share with our listeners about the game?
Well, I mean, I guess the easiest one to say first off, Floss mentioned some chat messages that you can get while you're playing through the game. There is a specific group chat that's not, it doesn't have any of the main cast members in it, but rather it has your RA and your residents on the floor. Those residents are actually modeled by some of the dev team members. I won't say who's who, but I would say that the personality is pretty accurate based on how we've gotten to know everyone in the past 2 years.
Yeah, that general chat was a pretty late addition to the spring release. I ended up really liking it. I think it added an extra dimension to the fact that the player character does live in an apartment with lots of other people. Let's see. I mean, other fun facts. Percy used to fall over a lot more in spring. There's his first impressions, of course, when you start it up, which I would say for everyone aside from Winter, he falls right over, doesn't he? But I know that at least in the original version of the rainy day event, he could literally fall out of a tree depending on your choices. He wouldn't get hurt.
Actually
but,
fall out of a tree.
like the lowest branch, but still.
What is he doing up there? How did he get up there? What do you mean?
He was doing his Percy things, but it's okay. It's okay. We removed the tree.
Oh, so you're telling me if the tree was still there, he'd climb it?
I won't deny. And I won't confirm. But we did decide, hey, maybe we should stop throwing Percy all over the place. And then I guess the trade-off is for some reason we put Jamie in a tree instead. Let's see. Did we want to do other behind the scenes, Marina?
I mean, there's like a fair other bit, but I don't know if it's like super fun facts. Like there's one in our server. Our main icon is a baby goat, and it has always been a baby goat since the start of development. And I assure you that it pertains to keyframes in some way, but that is a spoiler. But I think about it often.
Okay. I wonder when it's gonna stop, when it's gonna actually like come out into the game. Even I'm not sure right now.
I was going to ask, when the full game comes out, does it then get released? What does
I don't want to spoil. Really don't want to spoil.
I won't delve further into
it. Like, I appreciate the journalism, but I'll keep that under lock and key for now.
Probably wise, just in case I have to cut any of it away.
No!
I mean, no one knows it's a spoiler unless we tell them it's a spoiler.
Exactly.
And now, thanks to this podcast, we're telling everyone that it's a spoiler.
Spoiler, we meant feature. Speaking of spoilers, though, I think the last thing I can think of is there used to be a section of the scripted spring where you could visit the boys' apartment.
Yeah.
And it was in one of the studying events, but I think for a number of like logistical reasons, we ended up reserving that for later in the game. And the result of that is kind of the first time we're going to get a scene in that setting is actually in one of the drama CDs that we're offering for our Kickstarter right now. It's going to be about the boys in their apartment, arguing rather passionately, I would say, about some of their furniture choices.
As college men would do.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I really wanted to thank you for joining us today and sharing everything that you just shared with us. I personally was really interested because I played it. It got me excited and I wanted to know all of these things. And if there's anything else that you want to add before we sign off, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's our first interview. A little nervous, but it was genuinely a lot of fun. But I mean, just overall, thank you guys for having us on here and letting us just yap about keyframes. We don't really have a lot of spaces where we can just talk wild about the game. Our long-term fans know, and they know about our Tumblr and what we've said on there, but not everyone's going to go through the 1,400 plus posts that we made, and not everyone's going to be following our social media either. So thank you for giving us, an opportunity to talk about keyframes outside of our spaces. It was very, very nice.
And to our listeners, you can check out the free demo of Keyframes on itch.io, and don't forget to support the Kickstarter for the first summer season. Thanks for tuning in to the Adama.com podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to help us bring more amazing guests like Marina and Floss. Until next time, keep your hearts open and your choices bold. Take care, everyone.